to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd, and we have finally made it. Episode 300 of the Free Kick Podcast, and it's been a long time coming, and we're going to talk about that first thing on this episode. We're going to talk about it the second half, and if you guys don't want to stay around, then maybe skip to like 30 minutes into the podcast, and you guys can hear just my thoughts and the guests of tonight's thoughts on 300 episodes, and look back at what took place between episode 200 to now episode 300. And joining me tonight, I told you guys that there would be multiple people. And I guess technically there are multiple people joining. They're just married. And that is Kyle and Jillian Almoney. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Kyle, how are you? Kyle's already messing up. He tried. And
you both messed up.
We both did. But the good thing is, you know,
happy 300th, Todd.
Yes,
I'm good, thanks. I had this all planned out during practice. When you were like, "How you doing?" It's gonna be like the little like.
You pulled a Kyle.
I pulled a Kyle.
See.
Okay.
So the good thing is, because this isn't live, I'll go ahead and mess up my blunder in the post production. So the only people that know that I messed up are us three here. And
yes.
So in the intro, I kept saying to myself, because you guys mentioned on your last episode that you did like 12 different takes. And I know, for a fact, Jillian, you were still laughing because I think Kyle messed up something again. I was like, oh no, not again. But by that time, I think you guys were probably both like, you know what, screw it, we're keeping it. And Jose Nunez was supposed to join us tonight, but yeah, nice little family vacation for him. But regardless, have two people with me, Kyle and Jillian, and very, very thankful that you guys are joining me tonight. Kyle, you were going to say something, though?
No, I was just going to say regarding that, it was one of those situations which, as you know, you've done too, where we kind of messed up the original intro, and then we went to do it again, and then we kind of messed it up again. And then we just started, we tried 3 other takes, and we started dying. And, we couldn't, stop laughing for whatever reason. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what was so funny about it, but it just was funny.
It's one of those things in life where you're just laughing at your failures at times.
Yeah.
See, you keep saying we, Kyle, and I have a strong suspicion it wasn't a we situation. I feel like that was a you situation.
I mean,
Jillian was just laughing at you.
It very well could have been one of those "that's such a Kyle" moment, which I think maybe needs to become a segment of the week on our podcast.
That's so Kyle. Yeah.
That's so Kyle. Yes. 100%. It needs to be a segment. Just throw in a Kyle moment from the week. Doesn't have to be soccer related. Just anything. Just out yourself on the podcast. Just leave 5-10 minutes in the podcast. And
I mean, literally, that's a whole
Kyle.
episode.
Yeah. No, seriously. I mean, I should have written these things down because I could have a whole list.
Well, you've been keeping track every time that Kyle swears now on the podcast. Oh, there's another one in the swear jar. You dropped what? Another F-bomb last episode, Kyle?
Yeah, Kyle.
I did.
Yeah, listen, kids listen to this. Yeah. No. I try to be professional at all times.
Yes. We both
Kyle, after the last 2 episodes, he was just letting loose, saying whatever he wants. I think I counted 5 or 6 F-bombs 2 episodes ago, 1 this episode. I think you guys definitely do need a swear jar. Kyle's turned into evil Kyle.
See, I have the ability to be professional mode and not slip like that. Kyle, on the other hand, because you're around me when I'm not in that mode, and that's a whole other story.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yes.
Talking about other stories, Philadelphia Union continue to avoid a win at Subaru Park. And as we know, Philadelphia Union played Toronto FC on Wednesday night. That game ended 0-0, and that's now 5 straight games at home without a win. Last one was March 30th versus Minnesota United. And everybody's been joking about it. We've talked about it on our podcast. Then people started writing articles, and then people started quote tweeting each other on social media last night and blaming it on Union yards. And I think they do need to shut it down. Shut it down this weekend. Do not keep that place open, because ever since it's been open, the Union haven't been able to get a win. And I've joked with Kyle and said, they got to put back BR. I know people listening to this don't approve of that. And I know when they found BR, they were still getting wins, but I don't know. Like something about Union Yards feels cursed. And it's bad mojos right now.
Yeah, there's some bad juju going on there. And no, you know what they're doing? They're opening it earlier now on Saturday.
Yep, they're opening it earlier.
Like at 3:00 or something.
So my question to everybody is it that or is it suit and tie gym? I mean, that's the other one.
As Kevin Kincaid likes to say, more than one thing can be true.
I don't know, man. I'm a big fan of suit and tie gym, but if it means getting back in the win column, man, he needs to go back to being casual.
I love casual gym, and also, dude was making me buy way more merch by him modeling the stuff in the store. I know people can relate.
Can we relate to maybe $100 sweatshirt compared to?
Okay, that sweatshirt I've worn so many times, the light blue. Yeah.
But compared to like a $2,000 jacket, I mean,
okay, yeah, like seriously, I think it's way more relatable wearing that. Yeah. The suits are nice, and he looks great. Like, don't get me wrong, but maybe switch it up because whatever mojo, they need to do. I don't know what the in like Major League, the little like.
The mannequin where they like every time they got a win, they like undress the mannequin in Major League. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, the thing because of the bad mojo. Yeah.
Or you mean like Jabu? Like
that thing.
Like what? Like have like a little idol in like Union Yards and every game they do the sage and all that.
Yeah, the Phillies did it at one time, like when they were having bad spring events. Whatever. I know some people are bringing like crystals and sage and all this stuff to it.
I mean, I don't know what happened, but I mean, last year they were winning at home and Union Yards was open, but then they built this beautiful. Well, I wouldn't say beautiful, but it's a nice facility now. It's one of the few in MLS. It's right there in the stadium complex, but at the same time, like ever since that's open, not good.
Yeah, not good.
Not good at all. And you guys, I said that you guys saw Raquinho on your way home too.
Yeah, we did. So we had just left. We were on the ramp, just when you're going to get on 95 and that where it curves and you're going up on 95 on the ramp there. A raccoon ran out and then ran back right over. And thankfully, paying attention and it was over in plenty of time, but we're like, nah, I don't want to hit Raquinho.
No, that was very random. Just saw it came out, like ran out and then ran right back. It was like, whoa. And so, we didn't hit Raquinho, luckily. And
speaking of Raquinho, there were a few people in the stands, like in the 136 area with raccoon masks. Actually, there was almost like they hadn't had a stare, and I saw one guy was like in my row with the Raquinho mask. And then another guy came like walking over, and it was funny because he was just like walking by and they're both like the raccoon things and they're just like kind of like looking at each other. And then I saw some people with Union shirts on the back. It said Raquinho and 161 for the 161 seconds that he was on the field.
Really? That's nice.
I saw that. Yeah, I got a picture of that.
I mean, at least they're having fun with it. I mean, that's
something to have fun with, in the times we're in.
Yes, these are interesting times, but
do you guys see what New York City did?
They
got their own stuffed animal of a raccoon, and ever since they've done that, they've won 2 straight games now.
Interesting, and we saw Nashville do it too.
Yeah, and actually during halftime, I liked the thing that they put up on the screen that they made it like it was Pokemon,
yeah,
with the raccoon. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, that was fun.
Should have recorded that. I feel like I didn't see anybody like post that. Maybe they did on social media, but Kyle was like, look at the screen. I'm like, oh my God, they're playing Pokemon.
Yeah, I saw someone posted it. I was going to post it and then like the lighting on it just was not showing up well on my phone. So I didn't.
They showed it this Saturday.
But I did see some people post it on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'll have to look better then. Yeah. Maybe I follow the wrong people.
Yeah, I'll send it to you because I think I remember who posted it. So yeah.
But 5 games now in a row. Union have not won at Subaru Park. It's 100% Union Yards' fault.
It is.
And you guys said it. They're going to be opening it up much earlier. And I feel like, I don't know. What if they win opening up earlier? Then maybe they have to, maybe like that's the key to this whole thing, opening up Union Yards earlier for the rest of the season. And then, yeah, maybe that's just what it's going to take for the Union to win. I don't know. But the vibes are not good at Subaru Park right now. But the vibes for somebody is Oliver Semmle continuing to play good. 3 straight games now that the Union have kept a clean sheet. Oliver Semmle, 3 saves last night. Really, really, really big save in the 27th minute when the Union had a little miscommunication defensively where a player slips in behind the back line and Semmle comes up big and saves the Union. And Bernadeschi had a chance in the 41st or 42nd minute where he hits the crossbar. I mean, the Union were very, very fortunate last night not to concede first.
They were. There were a couple instances there, especially in that first half, where Toronto was getting some better opportunities. And yeah, I mean, Bernadeschi just missing that sitter. I think we all just looked at each other like, and it goes back to what people were saying all the time. Well, how does so and so miss this? Well, there's a very good Serie A striker that totally just missed the sitter. It happens, but man, he's not going to get many more chances than that, better chances than that, in my opinion. But there was probably, I would say, easily 3 chances on the night there for Toronto. They probably had at least 2 of the better chances. I can only think of one maybe good chance, and that was that volley where Bedoya kind of blocked it there in that first half there off that rebound. I think it was Ua tried to knock it and hit, deflected off, but that was
the Union,
yeah. But I mean, overall, that whole night, I would say Toronto definitely had the more dangerous chances. Obviously, I mean, I think Sean Johnson made 2 or 3 nice saves through the night, but you just felt like, and I don't know about you, Todd, and you too, Jillian, like I just kept having this fear of forebodingness that there was going to be a goal possibly coming late in that game from Toronto, but maybe that's a little bit of the Negadelphia side of me. I just felt like something.
It's like PTSD because
well, that could be too, but it just felt like they were going to give it. And to the Union's credit, they did. So that was actually a positive.
Yeah, and it's funny because up in 136, one of our things, it's like, we're like, a lot of times we'll be like, shots on goal, but we kept being like, one of our things, shots near goal, shots near goal. We definitely did that a few times because we didn't quite get shot on target several times,
right,
which was frustrating. But
I think the really cool thing, and Todd, I think we talked about this pregame, was every time Oliver's coming in, I mean, yeah, there's certain things, and I'm sure we can talk about that too. They still need to improve upon, but he's becoming more and more confident. He has a long way to go, but his shot stopping abilities have been very impressive. But he seems to be gaining more and more confidence, more and more understanding of the defense in front of him. So I think that's good to see. And obviously, this is a guy that came in and probably, if you would have asked him at the beginning of the year, did not expect to make any starts until probably this coming June.
Yeah, I mean, his confidence has clearly grown each game. I think it's been impressive to see. Definitely the best move we made. Not that we made many, but I mean, I've been really impressed with him, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one bright spot amidst all this. He's really stepped in there.
And he still has a lot of improvement to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the one shaky moment, and we talked about this, Kyle, is I believe it was a corner kick, and he punches it, and it wasn't the most commanding of punches. And so then he punches it a second time, and he finally gets it out of the 18-yard box, but he still didn't clear it away enough where Toronto retained possession. And I mean, obviously, like, those things are going to get better the more that you face these kind of actions in real game situations. Like in practice, that they're practicing that stuff, his punching ability, but you can't emulate a real life game situation in practice. You can try your best, but it's totally 2 different things. And you guys know it too, being coaches and having your swimmers ready, where you guys can prepare them during the week and everything, but when it comes showtime, nothing's like an actual event. And so, yeah, that would be the one negative you can have on Oliver last night, that his punches weren't the best. But look, when he was called upon, he made the saves that he was supposed to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, and I know we talked about it, Todd, and I think Skylar was there too. Was Andre Blake really good at times? I mean, besides like, his reflexes, understanding the defense, et cetera, et cetera, he's really good in the air on set pieces in traffic, getting his hand on the ball. And I remember that play, the ball comes, he gets his hand on it, mishandles it, pops it up, and then, like you say, punched it out. And that is one thing. You notice sometimes he's not good in traffic controlling the ball. But again, that's, like you said, something I'm sure Phil and the staff are working on. It's going to probably get better with time.
Yeah. Yeah, there was that one in the first half, I think, where Oliver got pulled to the left, and it got, he was full opposition, and then the goal's like wide open and it gets behind him. And I think, didn't Jack Elliott clear one? Yeah, he had that really good save. We're all like, oh my goodness. But
couple things like
and I mean, Jack, that was big. But I think he's getting better at communicating and positioning and all that, because Andre does that so well. I think that's definitely a big part that was missing. But really communicating with the defense, and
absolutely.
Yeah. So, but he's getting better at it for sure. And of course, Phil does a great job, and so I think, he just gets better and better every game.
He does.
And it comes with just playing more. And so you said it, Kyle. I don't think Oliver would have expected to play this many games. He played the very first game of the season against Saprissa in CONCACAF Champions League. You talk about throwing him into the fire. You go down to Costa Rica in a hostile environment, play your very first game for your very new team. He's never played in an environment like that ever. And the Union go down in Saprissa and win thanks to a Julian Carranza hat trick. But, it's been a learning curve for Oliver, and he's going to continue to get better. And so, once Andre Blake, if he does go away with Jamaica for Copa America, Jim Curtin said during the week that Andre Blake will be out 4 to 6 weeks because he had minor surgery for a meniscus tear, I believe it was. And so, and Jim's not ruling out anything for Copa America, but we shall see, and that would be a huge blow for Andre Blake if he does miss that. But the good thing is, you have Oliver Semmle, who's looked really, really good the last 3 games. He's making the saves that you're supposed to make, and none of them are difficult saves, I would say. Again, he's making the saves that you would expect him to make. The one thing that I want to bring up is, imagine if Joe Bendick was the one playing all these games for the Union. How much worse off they would be. Be bad.
I shudder to think of that. Oh my gosh.
Look, I like Joe.
Yeah.
Joe was a good leader in the locker room. He understood the game. I think Joe Bendick could be a very good coach someday. I really do. However, at his age, his skills are diminishing. I shudder to think they're probably not looking at as many draws. Definitely not any clean shutouts, probably, in his future. So, no, we are lucky to have him. And Ernst was right to go out and get a manageable backup, and I think that's one of the best things that he's done, as crazy as we all like to talk about this offseason, who we added. He's been that lone bright spot, I think.
Yeah, who would have thought a goalkeeper would have been the Union's best acquisition over the winter time? Yeah,
I know, goalkeeper, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy to think, but again, we've brought it up. Andre's not getting old. I think I brought it up. I went through his transfer market injury history. I know he's re-signed, which, you said, I said that, okay, that was a good deal. It kind of still opens the pathway for Andrew Rick. But at the end of the day, if Semmle keeps performing, he's going to start catching some of those eyes as well, possibly back in Europe down the road. But, or maybe, Andrew doesn't develop as much as we think he's going to. And there's our future eventually. Who knows? Maybe they learned their lesson from Matt Freeze. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation. The good thing is,
it is.
You have a goalkeeper in Oliver Semmle you can rely on. you obviously have the future in Andrew Rick. And if he continues to develop the way that the Union hope that he's going to develop,
Right.
then yeah, you're right. You do have your goalkeeper in Andrew Rick right there, and could be set for a very, very long time. But um, regardless, I mean, it is nice to see Oliver Semmle continue to play well for the Union here the last few games. Jillian, I think you were going to say something though.
Oh no, go ahead.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were. What you guys make of the tactics by Toronto? I thought they got them spot on. And I mentioned this to Kyle in the press box. I don't know, like for people sitting, how obvious it was, but they were playing an extremely high line. I mean, there was times that their defensive back line was pushing up to the halfway field, just pinning the Union down in their own half. They were playing a lot of man-to-man marking, took away anything in the middle, forcing Leon Flock to be the one to break them down, which there will be plenty of people listening to this podcast saying, yeah, that's the guy you do not want on the ball to break down a defense because he doesn't have the offensive capabilities that a Jack McGlynn, a Kai Wagner has. And yeah, to Toronto's credit, they took away all the dangerous players for the Union last night. And I think last night, Jim Curtin did get out coached. And yeah, both teams canceled each other out defensively. But you look how Toronto came into this game playing three in the back, which the Union have struggled with playing against teams that go three in the back. And this has been a trend the last few months in MLS. More and more teams are starting to go with three in the back. And maybe that's what we're going to see MLS be, is just three in the back. And you guys, I know, would agree with me, but you kind of feel bad for Stuart Finley because, you know, he definitely would have played a lot more if the Union do eventually go to a back three. I know Jim Curtin said tactically they're going to have to change formations because of players going away for Copa America, players going away for the Euros. And so they're going to have to change. They can't play in the diamond with the players that they're going to have here with everybody going away. So yeah, you do feel for Stuart Finley because on one hand, it feels like he didn't get enough time with the Union and, you know, he wanted to get consistent playing time. But on the other hand, you know, when he did play, it's not like he hurt his chances. Just Jack Elliott and Jacob Glesnes were playing levels above anybody else in MLS. And so it was hard for Stuart Finley to get into that. But then you could argue this year, you know, Stuart Finley would probably be playing a lot more games this season if he was here, just because defensively the Union have been pretty shaky.
Yeah. And in fact, last year I remember thinking, yeah, Stu would have had his moment, like, 2023 season, man, he would have had his chances for sure in that. And this year as well, because, you know, the games that we had three in the back and yeah, just with players being away. But 2022, I mean, of course, Jacob was defender of the year and Jack Elliott was, you know, having super strong year as well. So, I mean, that was hard to break through. And so, yeah, it is a shame. Hey, Stu's loan at Kilmarnock's up. He's back with Oxford. Bring back Stu. No, but you know, yeah, that whole thought did cross around. Kyle's laughing at me.
I mean, I don't see it happening. I mean, I'm happy Stu's did well this year. But you're right. I mean, to see him, if he was stuck around, this would have been a prime opportunity for him. But Todd, to your credit, and shout out to you because you got the formation correct. Remember, we were trying, a whole bunch of us last night, for people listening, we were trying to figure out what the exact formation was. And a whole bunch of us were, and we kind of finally figured it out. But yeah, I mean, Toronto was dropping five on the defensive side. They were holding that high line. And I think I even said to you, I mean, they if Uwa tried to make his runs, he was going to get called off sides. And so just everything John Herdman did was, you know, I think this is one of the best jobs that Jim has gone up against. I mean, it really was. He totally got out coached last night, and credit to Union for not conceding. So I thought overall, I mean, they just couldn't get anything done offensively or in the transition game, even creating chances. I mean, you saw a couple times when they finally would break through. I mean, Tron was pushing them out to the side, and they tried to make runs in the box. No one was there with the cross. And yeah, it was a little frustrating on that offensive side for the Union last night. And, you know, one of the things that you brought up is what did this game need from the Union? They needed an El Senior type.
Yeah.
Somebody that could create. they really did. They needed a guy that could beat the players 1v1. I know that's not necessarily always the way the Union would play, but they needed that last night.
Yeah.
They need somebody to be able to create and get and catch Toronto. And again, they were super disciplined. I mean, you saw from our vantage point, Todd, I mean, they had that line on that defensive line. I mean, you walked and drew a line on like a telestrator. That thing was a perfect straight line. They were so disciplined all night.
Yeah, they'd usually sit around the 35 to 40 yard line. And then when Toronto were inside the Union's half, then they'd push up to the 50-yard line. And it would be difficult for the Union to, hit on the counterattack. And like you said, Kyle, they were forcing the Union, all right, you want to play the long ball? Well, we're going to catch you off sides. You can't go through the middle. And so they're forcing the Union to play out wide. And
right.
I think one thing, and sorry to cut you off, Jillian, got to get better at that. But yeah, I mean, I think this, we say, they need an El Seno type. But honestly, this would have been the perfect game for Joaquin Torres. A player that's comfortable taking on players 1v1.
Correct. And, I think we talked about it in the press room waiting for Jim. I mean, no, they weren't getting any pressure up the middle. Right there is an excellent opportunity for Joaquin. That's what he likes to do. So, I don't know. I think that's one thing this team is missing at times is that, roster flexibility where they can bring in a guy like that, especially when you go against this, because this is a problem like you brought up, Todd, against teams. We know Cincinnati's going to do it.
Yeah, they play three in the back.
Yeah, Pat Noonan knows that. He knows how to beat Jim. I mean, it's until the Union figure out how to A, play with possession, which they're not built for, and B, to really exploit that, there's going to be some trying times ahead, I fear.
Well, I think, in my opinion, what the Union should have done last night is Quinn Sullivan should have been coming off the bench. So you start Marcus Anderson, you let him and Mikael Uhre make those runs in at the back line, tire out the back line, and then you bring Quinn Sullivan to come off the bench and take players on 1v1. He's the only player on this team that I trust taking on players. He's the only one that tries to take other players on 1v1. And seeing Quinn play up top time and time again, I mean, he's just not built for that role. He's more of a winger, and that's why he does well when he plays as an outside 8, because he can get closer to that touchline. Then when he's out wide, then that's when he's taking on players 1v1, because you feel bad for Mikael Uhre. I think he had a good game last night, and people would say, oh, no, Mikael Uhre wasn't good. No, his hold-up play was excellent, but the issue was when he's winning his duels up top, when he's holding on to the ball, nobody else is making those runs inside the box. And so you saw Mikael just send in a helpless cross inside the box because, that's where players should have been, but nobody was there. And the Union, to their credit, were getting him the ball. He was making the right runs, but by the time he returned, his teammates weren't in the box yet, and he had nothing to do.
Yeah, no, I agree totally. I was saying that I texted Kyle during it too. I'm like, Mikael's playing really well. The problem is he's got no one to, send it to. And like you said, some people will look at this game and think, oh yeah, like people around me were like, Mikael, they're just getting peeved at this. It's like, well, yeah, this is also what happens when you feel like you're missing Carranza. That doesn't help. And I would have loved to have seen Marcus Anderson in there. Honestly, I was really hoping for that. He looked really good coming back off injury when he was playing for Union 2.
That header he had on that.
That
was an effort goal.
Yeah, that was really good. And for anyone listening that's not, following Union 2, yeah, he had a brace. I mean, yes, it's a MLS Next Pro game, but I thought, yeah, it was really strong. But his header that he had was awesome, and I like his energy and everything. I think that would have been good there, and just see what he's got. But I was also watching it, thinking, is this, what post Carranza life's gonna be like if we lose Jillian?
Could be very well. But at the same time, no, I agree. I think just the let's just Julian's out. Let's throw Quinn up the top. I mean, tactically, certain situations, sure, but I agree with you, Todd. Like Anderson would have been perfect last night. I mean, it's just like I get it, but I mean, every time I've seen what is that? I think it was twice this year, early on in the season when Marcus paired with Ua, they were a good team together. I like they were creating some chances. Like I didn't even think Marcus, I think it was Saprissa had like two good opportunities that he didn't finish, but I've been very impressed with him, and I'd like to see more Marcus Sanders, especially if Julian's going to be out for a little bit with this ankle.
Yeah, was it the Portland game where
He played, yeah, I
Yeah.
believe so. And I just think that's one of the things that I would like to see a little bit more. And like you said, Quinn's perfect in that side role there. And I don't know, I'd rather see like a Baribo at times even, just kind of keep working him in. Not saying he should start, but just the whole defunct, oh, well, we're gonna bring or whoever off and let's slide Quinn up to the top,
Well, what you guys think about that? Seeing Chris Donovan and Ty Baribo come onto the field last night?
I mean, it was fine. I mean, I get it. They got a game on Saturday. I mean, it's good to see at least Jim giving Rebo some more effort. Now, and I don't know if anybody out there listening saw this, but we're like, oh, remember, Todd, we're like, oh, they're bringing on Donovan. From the press box, we see, the staff run out, get the players, here they come. We thought it was Martinez. Rebo's just been sitting on the bench the entire night. Remember that? And then he just walks down, and we're like, wait, is he coming in or is he going to warm up? Oh, no, he's going in. And he literally just goes in. It was like the most random thing. Did not warm up at all. And he just goes right in. And I mean, again, he didn't really do anything, but I didn't say anything like atrocious.
He didn't do anything great, but he also didn't do anything like real bad either. Just, yeah.
I just think he just needs to get a little bit more time, keep getting that time. And again, he's going to be gone. So what's the union going to do?
Yeah, I just hope that that's not a performance that this training staff looks at and says, yeah, this is why we don't play him. I mean, it was so tough for him. I mean, bringing on him and Chris Donovan, I mean, there was a Hail Mary. Jim Curtin was going for it. He knew how important 3 points were at home. And speaking of 3 points, Jim Curtin, towards the end of his opening statement, he had something very interesting to say about his players. And this is what he had to say.
But overall, not dangerous enough on the night, not scary enough. Obviously, it's a positive to keep a clean sheet as we've been leaking a lot of goals at home. But at the same time, we have to find a balance of, being a little bit more brave. I think our guys are certainly a little bit nervous at home to make mistakes, and that's not a way for us to play, And we mentioned that at halftime, and I thought the guys actually had a good response out of half, had a good push. Again, we're difficult to play against on the night, but anytime you don't get 3 points at home, it's not acceptable.
So I don't know. That made me my eyes look up. Did Jim really just say his players are nervous playing at home? I understand, don't get me wrong, because they had lost 4 straight games at home. It's never happened before. But you're at home in front of your fans. You shouldn't be playing nervous. You should be okay with taking risks, taking chances. And we did see that in the second half. That's when the Union's best chances came. You had the header by Bedoya, great cross played in by Kai Wagner, by the way. You had a chance with Jose Martinez sending a cutback pass towards the end of stoppage time in the second half. Quinn Sullivan with a shot outside the 18-yard box. Nate Hario, I think, had a chance in this game. But the Bedoya was the biggest chance in this game where he got a free header. He split between the 2 defenders, which didn't happen often for the Union. And it's a easy save by Sean Johnson. But saying your players are nervous playing at home, I get it. I totally get it, because they've had 4 straight losses and they don't want to let the fans down. But no, you should not be playing that way at home whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's interesting considering how, still unbeaten on the road, and they've maybe been a little braver there. But I mean, Jim even mentioned about, New England, of course, New England was down a man. So,
right.
But that, it's been extremes mostly and all that. But that's just interesting. They do need to be a little braver. I think we'd have these moments where, okay, Quinn's got the ball and he's like on the outside of the box, and then he just gets like too cute with it, and they don't go for it. He just doesn't go for it.
There are sometimes, I don't know, they just, it's gosh, it reminds me of like almost 2019 where they just dance around the box sometimes. It's like you got two people open, at the top of the 18, just get to them and try to create something on rebound, pass. I don't know. But yeah, they're almost being too cute at times. I agree with that. And we've seen that for a while now for the season. And it's a confidence thing. I guess my question is, and not try to sound funny, I mean, are they going to get their free celebration motivation? Because Jim did say after the pregame presser that, one more game they get their
beer and pizza.
So I wonder, at least maybe that was what they were trying to be, too cute. No, I don't know. I think it's
that's why Oliver Semmle went over to Union Yards.
Yeah, he was like, oh,
right?
wait a minute.
Yeah.
And he got over there and he was like, wait a minute. I thought this was beer and pizza. Where's my pizza and beer? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No, and I've been thinking this for a while. Maybe, teams every year is a different year. Maybe this year, things haven't gone well at home. And maybe they've now gotten so like, we got to get those clean sheets. We got to quit leaking goals. That, maybe they're almost over analyzing the defensive side. I think Jim brought that up in his press, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm wrong, but he made a comment towards that degree. But I agree. I think home is where you need to be over aggressive at times. And it's kind of little, I wouldn't say disheartening, but, again, last night there was some opportunities there, even though there weren't many. There were some, and that, they get that goal by Ollie, that changes everything. And,
and the whole thing too, the crowd was really lackluster. So that didn't help. I mean, we could get into that whole ball of wax there, but I mean, just yeah. I've been on that rant before. And
it's time to turn that. It's time to turn that page.
But like, just in general, there needs to be more energy.
I do. I think the players feed off of each other. I think last night it wasn't a lot of energy, so maybe that plays a factor. At the end of the day, you expect a team with the pedigree, even early in the season, they're putting balls in the back of the net to have the confidence offensively to continue to do that. So, I mean, we'll see what happens on Saturday. Maybe it was just something, but it's been kind of a, common theme. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we just, at the end of the game, the people in 136, we all look around, we're like, well, we didn't lose. So there's that.
Yeah.
It's a positive.
You didn't lose. Okay. But yeah, I think we all missed that winning feeling there at Subaru Park. So
I don't know. I still blame it on 2022, where we were so spoiled during that season, where we're just watching the Union just score 4, 5, 6 goals at home, just blowing teams out constantly, especially during that July, August run, I want to say it was, where they're just scoring for fun. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of these newer fans, that's what they expect every game. But, that it just shows you just how historic of a season 2022 was going. And even Jim said it, the luck really hasn't been there for us this year like it was in years prior. And part of that is true. And a lot of things were falling for the Union in 2022. And last night was a perfect example for the Union to, they had luck with Cincinnati losing last night, Inter Miami losing last night. So last night was a chance for the Union to go up higher on the table. If they would have got all 3 points against Toronto, they couldn't do it. But the one thing that they are doing is, they've shored up their defense, but now the offense is lacking. 0.8 goals conceded per game in matches Leon Flock's played so far this season. 1.7 goals conceded in games Leon Flock hasn't played. 1.2 goals scored with Leon starting, and then 1.9 goals scored without Leon Flock starting. So I don't know. I mean, do you blame this on Leon Flock, where, when he's playing, the Union aren't conceding goals, 3 straight clean sheets, but now it's back-to-back games now without goals for the Union. And I think last night against Toronto was a lot worse than Charlotte in terms of creating chances. I don't think this is Leon Flock's fault at all. To your point, Kyle, Jim Curtin said so many times that their priority is cleaning up the defense, figuring out why they're conceding so many goals. And it looks like they figured that out. 3 straight clean sheets. And yes, it helps that New England were off with a red card so early in the game. But defensively, they do look a little bit stronger. But offensively, yeah, they're really not creating the chances. And that's what scares me for Saturday, which it shouldn't. But for whatever reason, we were talking about it, 13 or 12 games, I forget what the number was, that the Union had scored in. Now they haven't scored in back-to-back games.
Well, here's my thing. I think Saturday is going to be a good barometer because comes in Montreal. That's one of the worst in the league, giving up 2.2 goals per game. I mean, they're one of the few teams above 2.0. Now they can score. I mean, they're in the middle. I think it was 1.4 goals per game. But I mean, yeah. I mean, we get the defense starting to shore up. But to your point about Leon Flock, I mean, I don't know about you, Jillian, Todd, and I know you and I have talked about it a little bit, but I think he's healthy. He seems to be playing with that fire in his belly. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Leon. He's a man possessed out there. But, is he a creator like Martinez? No. But he is a valuable cog in that system. So I think the question to Jim is, yeah, you want to keep Jack up there. I mean, obviously, but maybe there's some games where you put Leon in that position with Kai, so you get Kai further up the field. And, but again, it's competition. So I think you have a good problem there. It's a problem. But, I think Leon has really led this kind of defensive revival. The other person I'm really been impressed with since, he's all of a sudden starting to get healthy is Jack Elliott. Sure, there was that one play, I think it was one, the Bernadeschi, or that really good save, he got cooked.
Yeah.
But outside of that, he was excellent. I mean, he was last man on that one goal that Semmle got called off on the wrong side of the goal on. He had a couple nice tackles outside of, creating chances. So, I mean, I'm fine with it. But if the Union need to get some balls in the back of the net on Saturday, and if they can do that and, maybe get another clean sheet, I mean, that only goes forward. But I do think, to your point, I think if they get this defense shored up, because what do they got coming up after Miami? Well, I can tell you what they got coming up from Miami. Sorry, Todd. They have, after Montreal, I mean, they have Miami. Then they're at Cincinnati. Then they're home to Charlotte. Then they're on the road in Montreal. Then they're at Chicago. And then Red Bull, Toronto out on the road. So, yeah, and that's all during Copa and Euros. So they got to figure it out real quick.
With a whole bunch of players missing. But you brought up a point last night, too. You said, why not try Jose Martinez as the right flanker? We see how much he likes to go forward, and you saw it last night when he created a chance in the dying embers of the game. And unfortunately for the Union, they couldn't get the ball in the back of the net. But yeah, he is a player that loves to drive forward. And Leon Flock, that's why I appreciate him, is because he does his job. He stays compact. He doesn't try to do too much. Where Jose Martinez, he's a risk taker. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And I think that's why we've seen Jose Martinez not have his greatest season, because of how many risks he takes, out of position, bad passes, turning the ball over. And so with Leon Flock, he stays centrally and he protects that back line. And so it's like you want to protect that back line who's been conceding so many goals this season. But at the same time, you've got to figure out a way how to get your offense going.
No, I agree with you. And maybe this is, I don't know how I should say it, but do you think, Todd, maybe some of the reasons we were leaking goals? Because Damian Lowe is also a risk taker. Martinez is a risk taker. So were some of these goals mistakes because we had too many risk takers?
Yes.
And I agree with you on that. That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe, a healthy Elliott now, because the thing, and not to bring back up 2022, that made Elliott and Glesnes so good was Glesnes could take some risk, and Elliott, or vice versa. They had each other. So now with Lowe, it's like, okay, now you've got, and that's why I like Elliott and Lowe pairing more than I like Lowe and Glessens, because you have that, person in the back there.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So, Jillian, I'm going to throw you on the spot, but if you had to pick your 3 best players last night for the Union, who would you pick?
Leon Flock, Oliver Semmle, those 2 for sure, and I would say Jack Elliott.
Kyle?
I would say probably Leon Flock first. I would go Jack Elliott and then Semmle.
Yeah, so we're all in agreement, but I'm in agreement with Jillian's exact order: Leon, Oliver, and then Jack Elliott. Leon Flock, 2 out of 2 tackles, 1 interceptions, 3 ball recoveries, 2 out of 3 ground duels, 1. Oliver Semmle, 3 saves. Jack Elliott, 2 blocks, 3 headed clearances, 3 interceptions, 6 ball recoveries, 3 out of 4 ground duels, 1, and 3 out of 5 aerials, 1. And I said to you, Kyle, on the prospects, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to do for the goals breakdown video, because there's even less chances to break down in this game than the Union had against Charlotte. So I don't know. We'll see if I get that video out. If not, I joked on Twitter and said it's going to be a Jack Elliott highlight tape, which I do have all the clips of plays that Jack Elliott made. So I don't know. I got to decide if I want to record that and post it. We shall see. But yeah, I think there's no debate that those were the Union's 3 best players. You can put them in whatever order you want, but all 3 of these players played well for the Union last night and helped ensure that the Union kept a clean sheet. So let's go ahead and move on to final segment, which I know I told you guys, just listen up to the 30-minute mark, and then we'll go ahead and talk about episodes 200 to episode 300. But yeah, I was looking at some of the people that have appeared on the podcast. We've had Phil Wedding twice. We've had Ted Ramey, Steve Jolly, Tyler Terrence, Devin Kerr. A lot of Twitter Spaces episodes. Jose Nunez's first time getting on the podcast. And I think like during the stretch, that's actually the first time that I actually met Jose. I don't even remember how we met. Maybe we started talking on Twitter or something. And then it was like, you want to come on the podcast? And then he came on the podcast and then we hit it off. You guys obviously appeared on the podcast a lot, but you guys had also been on the podcast prior to episode 200. So you guys have been around for a while, a lot longer than Jose. And I don't know. I mean, just looking back at all the away trips that I've went on during 200 to now 300, DC, New York Red Bulls. We all went out to Colorado last year together. We actually went out to New York Red Bulls last year together too. Like, I believe I got home at like 2:00 in the morning. I don't know what time you guys got home. Went to Nashville this year with my buddy Jem. And then I was like, yeah, this is our first episode ever together. But then I looked back and apparently it was on the podcast prior. And we did a grassroots soccer episode talking about supporting grassroots. And I did not remember that at all. I was like, oh, well, I told all of you guys that, this is the first time that Jem's ever been on the podcast. And this is the first time you guys have ever heard of him. But apparently he's been on before. And I didn't realize that until I started looking at like some highlights. But I don't know. I mean, going up to New York Red Bulls, that was such a long night. In Colorado, that was a blast too. And I don't know what stands out to you guys. And then obviously the convention, I mean, in Philadelphia, the United Soccer Coaches Convention in Philadelphia, and then this year in Anaheim, which you guys came out to, and a lot of excitement, like from 200 to now 300. And I don't know, it's hard for me to pick what was my favorite or my favorite episode or favorite guest, because there was so many good people. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not just saying this because you guys weren't here, but I really do think that Anaheim trip was probably the best, because, like, I don't know, who doesn't love doing live podcasts and all the people we got to connect to. You guys had good episodes. We had good guests on my podcast with Thomas Granemark, Laura Youngson, Rick Eddy, Andre Swanson. And then you guys had a whole bunch of really good guests and just making connections. And then obviously going to Disneyland and California Adventure for the first time. I don't know. I think for me, Anaheim was probably the highlight of this little stretch.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's what I was thinking too. I mean, that was really cool for me, that was a brand new experience going to something like that.
Mm.
And just interviewing all these people with you, that was a blast. And I think it's been really awesome just being able to go on all these trips and experience that together But yeah, Anaheim, absolutely. I thought that was, some of the best stuff.
Yeah, no, I had a blast in Anaheim. Dan Abrams, Mandy Green, who was our other? Sky Eddie was the other one.
Mhm.
Yeah, they were all excellent interviews. I think for me and Todd, I'd always love your pre-match previews back before. Yeah, like
Mhm.
all the pre-match previews with like the play-by-play guys back before Apple TV, but I always enjoyed those. But I think for me, it's just been the trips together, the memories together, the stories in the press box. The friends we've made.
The friends we've made along the way.
I mean, even
So
like
many.
last night, Todd, how cool was that? Like, with Dave, just shout out to Dave Leno, just, hanging out with him there at Union Yards, just those cool stories, making these kind of friends and the friendships that are off the pitch. And then to see like our, friends like Jose, taking the leap, with doing some stuff. I mean, it's just awesome to see. And I think so. But for you, just to see how, with you writing and, the pre-match, post-match articles and just all of us and all of us just hanging out in the press conferences. That's always fun.
Absolutely. And actually it occurred to me, one of my favorite episodes was Todd, when you had your blender of the week, as Kyle. After
That
the
was an
Portland
all
game.
timer. Yeah. I got so much crap on social media for that. And rightfully so.
I texted Jillian too. I was like, I'm going to make Kyle blunder of the week. Is that okay? And she's like, yes, do it. And you had no idea, Kyle, until you listened to it and you're like, no way.
That was epic.
One of my favorite ones was the episode, I forget what it was, where Todd made the special appearance. And I know this is for your show, Todd, but just having some fun, like banter.
Oh, yeah, with Polemy. Yeah, it was just.
Yeah.
And then Kyle's like, we got a special guest and defend his honor. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, this is more you. I think those things, I just think, and you and I talk about this, and you, Jose, talk about it, and a couple other people do as well. But just like we're all listening to each other's podcasts, and we're all kind of like, I think what's really cool is I like listen to your podcast, I listen to Mike and Jose, I listen to a couple other ones, and I'm like, okay, if somebody has a different idea, I want to know that idea because I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room because obviously I'm not. But at the same time, it's funny when like all of us kind of have the same viewpoint, and I think that's always been fun. And then, like I told you in episode 200, I think, just the media access now that all of us are bringing to these Union fans, I think it is very good to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we all do it a different way. I mean,
we do.
And I think that's even more special.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about all the friends met along the way, and so I was looking at this, and actually we had got into over 200 episodes during the 2022 season, and so I remember going to Subaru Park, and that was like the first time that I met Polemy and Nick, and just seeing all these like people that I've never met before. Grace and her family I met for the very first time that game too. Jeff Mitchell introduced me to them at the old Sons of Ben lot, and so I mean everybody loves Grace and her family, Olivia, Elliot, and Steve, and I know you guys are going to be listening to this episode and like, oh my God, he gave us another shout out. And Grace always tells me, she's like, yeah, Elliot always says, can you play that episode where Todd says my name? Well, now Elliot's going to say, can you play this episode because he's continuing to talk about me? Yes, I am continuing to talk about you, Elliot. But yeah, I mean, it's been like really, really cool seeing just all these connections, all these people that we've met over the years. And it's people that, I mean, it shows you like how small the world really is, where like something so simple like soccer can bring so many people together. And it's like, yeah, you had no idea that these people ever existed, but now they're like your best friends in your life, and it's like you look forward to seeing them all the time. And that's what sucks about the off season, is because you go a couple months away from seeing most of these people. And I know, like, obviously we make time to go up to Lancaster to see you guys, and just hang out up there, which is always fun too. But it's like, that's what I love about not only this this community of people doing podcast, freelance work, and everything, but like, I don't know, union fans in general. It's like it's one big family, and it's like I said, I mean, it's like people you never knew existed, but now they feel like family that you got to meet them, and so I'm very thankful for the connections that I've got to make. Connor, what about this episode? Do you remember this? It was last year. We I believe it was me, you, and Jose, and maybe you were there too, Jillian. I can't remember, but I was recording outside of the beach house I was staying at down in Myrtle Beach, and I think it was like super windy and everything. And you guys couldn't see this, but I had to like get an extension cord and everything, and like plug it in through the. Actually, no, I think there was an outlet outside, but the extension cord wasn't long enough, and I had to like position the table outside where it wasn't picking up all this wind, because obviously, you're staying on the beach, and so you're going to have wind. And I didn't want to record in the room that I'd recorded at in years prior because there was an echo effect. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go outside and record here. And it's so funny. The next door neighbors were like, are you doing a podcast? Like after we were done, I'm like, yeah, I am. They're like, what's your podcast about? And I was like, the Philadelphia Union. They're a team that plays in MLS. And they're like, the free kick? And I said, yeah, yeah, that's exactly who I am. They're like, oh yeah, we know your podcast, we listen to you, and like, what a small world. I'm like, yeah, you guys are now living down here in Myrtle Beach, and you guys know MLS, which I feel like anytime I see people out in public that know what MLS is, I'm like, okay, this is massive. And you guys talked about it your last episode, when you see people in Lancaster that are Philadelphia Union fans, it's like Union fans out in the wild. It's the craziest thing ever.
Yeah, I love the community of it and all the people we've met, and it's so special. Like, I missed everyone so much during the off season. I could not wait to get back.
Right.
And yeah, just all the awesome people we've met. And yes, I'm going to add another shout out, Elliot. Yes, that kid is awesome. Okay. That whole family rocks, and just all these people that we've met. I mean, it's just awesome. And yes, seeing people out in the world, like, even just like at my school, I had one of my students was in class today, and he was wearing like all kinds of Union stuff. I mean, Union shorts, Union jersey, it was a Carranza jersey, and a Union sweatshirt and everything, and awesome. If that kid wasn't already having an A in my class, yeah, I would think he deserves an A.
I want to give a shout out to Olivia. So like, I'll tell a story. So last night we were talking to the Slocums last night after the game on our way out. And Olivia, I guess they were playing that big block Jenga. Yeah, they're over there. And she comes over and she's like, are you guys leaving? I'm like, yep, we're heading out. And she's like, are you guys coming on Saturday? I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, I'll see you then. Bye. She goes right back over. And she's like, you guys coming? Okay, I'll see you. Bye.
Yeah.
It was like one of the cutest little things, but
yeah,
it was really cool. But I remember that episode because if you remember, we were at the Phillies game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're in the car, and then like you're losing power, and then we hit that block. You're like, Kyle, do you have any data on this? Yeah. I'm like reading off stats, and you're like, Kyle, and we hit that dead zone. I'm like, goes for like the whole last like 20 minutes of the episode.
That's
right.
That's right. Yeah, I do remember that.
That was a while.
Yeah. That was when we were at the Phillies game, when we were up with the Fandemic crew, right? Right.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Kirkering made his major league debut. Yes, that was a fun game. So yeah. Oh man.
That is funny you brought that one up, man.
Yeah, it stands out to me because because the neighbors, honestly, like, are you doing a podcast? I'm like, yeah, I am. And then like asking what the podcast is about. And I'm like, yeah, Philadelphia Union. Like, it was so crazy. I'm like, you can't make this up. I mean, it really shows you like I said, how small the world is. It's like, I don't know, it's like insane. It blows my mind every single time. And I mean, there's so many great guests and so many great people on the podcast during the stretch, and so many more names that could obviously get shouted out. And you brought up the point too, Kyle, which during that stretch too, I mean, I was doing 2 episodes a week, and now that's like tremendously cut down doing one episode a week, which I feel terrible about. Where I love doing those match previews, having different commentators on and everything. And yeah, I mean, I could probably do a better job, but it's so hard because I mean, when you guys, I'm assuming, go to games, you guys listening, you guys aren't going back and re-listening to the Apple podcast, but a lot of times it's, the same commentator crew on Union games. It's usually Chris Whittingham and Lori Lindsay. And last year it was Steve Cangelosi and Denny Higginbottom, and which is great. But I don't know. I mean, that's what I liked about the local broadcast, because every time you play a different team, you're getting a different broadcast crew. And so now with Apple TV, it's usually the same crew, and it's like, I don't know. You don't want to annoy those people. Say, hey, you want to come back on the podcast, even though you were just on last week, and then trying to get radio play-by-play guys on, which is fine and everything, but not all teams are great at responding back when you request to get, some play-by-play guys back. And then you go and look for them on social media and try to DM them, but their DMs are closed, and you're like, okay, this is a lot more difficult. And you're like, okay, I'm not going to stress about it. And yeah, it sucks. I feel bad when I don't give you guys 2 episodes a week. Sometimes we do when we have midweek games, but trying to make the most of it. But yeah, it's a big feat to get to 300 episodes. You guys are close to approaching 100 for your show, so that's pretty big too.
Yeah, we're at like 80-ish, I think.
82.
Yeah, so we're getting there, and it's been quite the ride. But yeah, 300 is so impressive. And honestly, Todd, I have to say, you always publish your new episodes around when I'm leaving for school. So I hop in my car and I put in my phone, and it's like, all right, I got a new episode to listen to on my drive to school. So, because it's like a 25-ish minute drive. So that, that's a good way to pass the time. So,
it is. Yeah. And like I always joke with Todd, it's like every morning I back out of the driveway, and it's like your intro hits.
Yep. As I'm leaving the neighborhood.
Yep.
It's like,
yeah. And it's like, all right.
Hello and well.
Yeah.
And so, no, man, I'm really happy for you, man. This is awesome. It's all your hard work and dedication. And for people to know, everybody's working hard out there to cover the Union, and you're doing an awesome job, man.
Yeah, and honestly, like, what people got to remember too is like you're putting all this work in, and this is not like a full-time job you're getting paid for.
Right.
This is, and for a bunch of us, that's the case. But it's because we love this team, and we have a passion for doing all this. And Todd, you show a lot of great passion on it and great knowledge for it too. So it's awesome. We love listening to it, love joining in, being a part of this, and so feel honored that we're on your 300th episode.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining. It's so funny to me too, because like I've got comments in the past from people out at games like, oh, tell me the tea between you guys, like all the people that do podcasts and everything. What's the tea? I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, there is no tea. Like, we all work together. Like, we're all cool with each other. We all promote each other's stuff. Like, I don't know. Like, if I see somebody's, posting more, look, we'll use Jose as an example. I mean, dude's just posting nonstop. I don't feel jealous of Jose whatsoever.
Not at all, man.
Proud of him, like the work that he's putting on, and it's like I encourage that. And so I think, look, we saw firsthand, Kyle, out in Colorado, there wasn't many people in that press box. 4 or 5, that's it, maybe. And you go to Union games, you've seen it too, Jillian. That press box is full every single game. And that just speaks to the volume of, how many people want to give fans good coverage of this team. And you have so many different options. And so it's like, okay, people might not want to listen to my podcast because it's just me talking. That's totally fine. You have 10 other Union podcasts you can listen to. And you're definitely not short of choices. And all the support people have given me through 300 episodes, I'm very, very, very grateful. Just all the friends that I've made, all the connections. It's been a blast, and really, really thankful that you guys have been on the podcast. And like we said, I mean, just all the away trips that we've got to go together on, and go up to New York Red Bulls in this year. And I guess we'll figure out, because I don't know, a couple of different people have said, yeah, just drive to our house and then we'll do the rest of the driving. So we have plenty of time to figure that out. But just really looking forward to more away travels this year. Looking forward to more episodes, goal breakdown videos. Yeah, I've been slacking when writing, but I don't know. You guys have been doing a really good job, especially like you, Jillian, with your Union 2
Yeah.
coverage. Like, I
Thank
feel
you.
like Union 2 coverage is about to pop off here with Kevin Sullivan. So, press box for Union 2 games might start getting a little bit crowded.
I mean, they might,
Yeah.
but hopefully we get up there this Sunday and get some questions and to Marlon, some of the players. We got maybe potentially another Union 2 interview coming up maybe next week as well.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that.
The only people that I believe you and Jose, you guys,
Yes,
you and
us,
Jose,
yeah.
are the people that are giving U2 coverage, which I feel like we don't get a lot of, but I think the more and more games that Kevin Sullivan plays, the more and more people are going to want to cover this team and give them coverage.
And outside just Kevin, there are some really good stories out there. I mean, Frankie Westfield's story, and Todd, you even said that. I think we could have gone more into that interview in some regards, with especially his background. But, Neil Pierre was a fun one because, he's from Lebanon, around 717. So, it's fun to hear some of these stories from these kids.
Yeah, it is. And, with those ones, we try not to run them too long, because I mean, they're kids at this point. But yeah, those have been a lot of fun. And I think that Union 2 has just been really fun this season. Marlon LeBlanc's doing a great job with them, and they're really buying in, and just there's a lot of exciting things going on with them, and it's not just about Kevin. I mean, it's awesome seeing what Kevin's doing. But yeah, so many more reasons to check out the team too. And I've been seeing the growth of, just look, you got the Bridge Brigade, and more people showing up to the games. So
it's been great.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, this episode, I knew it was going to go over very, very long, but you got to when you get to a big milestone like 300 episodes, and then the next one's going to be 400, and then the one after that is 500. But hopefully I can get to 500 episodes. I don't know. I mean, there was times where I was like, yeah, there's no way that I'm getting to 300 episodes. But we finally got here, and I'm super excited. And for all the people that have listened, whether you're a recent listener or people who have listened since day one, I thank you so much for the support and the interactions you give me online or in the at Subaru Park or even at away games too. Like I've had some people come up to me and they're like, "You're Todd from the Free Kick." I'm like, "Yeah, how do you know me when everything's just audio?" And I guess people really pay attention to that Twitter profile picture. But speaking of social media, where can people find you guys?
So the One Team We Agree On account is at TOTWAG on Twitter, and at the One Team We Agree on Facebook and Instagram. And my Instagram or my Twitter is silly__Jilly.
And you can find me at Coach Almoney on Twitter and our website, www.theoneteamweagreeon.com.
And if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow @FreeKickPod, wherever you get the podcast, The Free Kick. Check out the Substack, thefreekick.substack.com, and the YouTube account, youtube.com/freekickpod for the goals breakdown videos. But Substack has everything listed, articles, the goal breakdown videos, and the podcast, if you guys want to do it that way too. But again, thank you guys so much for coming onto the podcast. Thank you guys again so much for listening to these episodes, and for people that continue to spread the word, and people that, I don't know, like 300 episodes just listening to me, where I feel like 2/3 of those episodes are just me talking to myself. Yeah, you guys are absolutely insane for listening to me, but I guess you guys enjoy what you hear. I don't know. Or you guys just wait to see how many times I mess up, which you'll get a lot of mess ups between myself and Kyle. But with that said, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.